Hello everyone, it's been too long. We're excited to have a new season rolling along and happy to have our Midco Sports Game Ball sponsor pack. Shout out to Farmers Union Insurance for helping us showcase high school athletes all across North Dakota and even South Dakota now too. I'll share who's getting this game ball in a moment, but first, we had some key wins right off the bat last week. Kindred topped Central Cass in a top 5 bout in Class A. In Sargent County, going from 11-man to 9-man, opened with a W against perennial power Lemoore Litchfield Marion. It's always interesting on opening night to see which teams come out locked in. Congrats to all the teams sitting at 1-0. We'll have a handful joining them this week as the big schools get underway in Class 3A, including our live game on Midco Sports Friday night with West Fargo visiting Bismarck Century. Tune into that one. All right, let's get to our top performers list. Leading off with Maple River's Carter Bosch, a pretty good shooter on the basketball court, and he was nothing but net on Friday night in the Raiders' 46-6 win over Enderlin. Bosch touched the ball 5 times and scored 4 touchdowns, racking up 113 yards of offense in the process. He was a wizard out of that wishbone offense. Great start for Bosch, just like Clay Hovelson had that monster start to the season last year and never stopped for a Larry Fontaine squad. Trace Beauchamp had Beulah humming along on Friday. He connected on 4 of his 5 pass attempts for 118 yards and a score. On the ground, 4 carries, 4 touchdowns, racking up 130 yards in the process as the Miners clobbered Turtle Mountain 50-8. Grafton was the first team in the state to pick up a win, and it was their first win in 22 months. 1 year after being blown out by Thompson, 54-zip, the Spoilers got the revenge in a 34-20 victory. The combination of quarterback Kyler Droog and receiver Tony Valerio was like Jordan and Pippen out there. Droog passed for 344 yards and 5 scores, while Valerio was responsible for 261 of those yards and all 5 touchdowns on just 7 catches. Incredible. A couple of eye-popping performances from the North Star versus New Rockford Cheyenne Maddock contest. We'll start with the Bearcats. QB Dane Hagler passed for an incredible 484 yards and 4 touchdowns while adding 2 more scores on the ground. Hagler is a pretty special athlete, but you know he'd rather have the win as the Rockets ended up edging North Star 58-42. More from that game shortly. Jordan Hernandez has entered the chat as one of the top players in 9-man. The junior from Alexander showed off his strength by breaking tackles left and right on his way to 150 yards rushing and a trio of scores. He was also a force on defense where he added a strip sack and fumble recovery for a touchdown. Big night for Jordan. I picked North Prairie to win the state title in my preseason blog at 9-man, and a big reason why was the bruising offensive line and this man, Blake Matson, who took 6 carries for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. If you're doing the math at home, that's just over 40 yards per carry. That'd be pretty good. He added an interception on defense in a blowout of Midway Minto. New Rockford Cheyenne Maddock opened their season with that big region win over North Star that we mentioned. Easton Simon and Connor Natterud were a couple of key pieces in the victory. Simon with 300 yards passing and 4 scores, and his job was made easy by the playmakers around him like Natterud, who scored in 3 different ways: a rushing touchdown, receiving score, and a 75-yard kick return for a touchdown. Congrats to the Rockets on a 1-0 start. Isaiah St. Romain nearly led Williston to a massive opening night win over Red River. The NDSU commit was making plays everywhere. He got 7 passes for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then on defense, he made this incredible pick 6. Watch him turn on the Jets up the sideline. The Rough Riders did rally, though, for a last-minute victory, 24-20, but St. Romain sure did shine in that one. We've already showcased some efficient nights. Add Oaks receiver Max Wallach to the list. He took all 3 of his catches to the end zone for 77 yards as the Tornadoes quieted the Thunder of EEK in a matchup fit for Mother Nature. Third-year starting quarterback Race Worley looks sharp in Langdon Edmore Munich's opening day win over Bishop Ryan. Check out these numbers: 20 of 27 passing for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also rushed for 90 yards and a couple of scores. Worley and the Cardinals will be tough to beat in Region 2. Speaking of Region 2, Bottineau and Carrington played a thriller to open the season. 36-34 Braves when the clock struck 0. Bottineau's Karson Herrera and Carrington's Josh Bickett, a couple of honorable mentions from that game. All right, time to announce our first Midco Sports Game Ball winner of the year, presented by our friends at Farmers Union Insurance. Now, prior to Friday night, September 3rd, 2021, was the last time Towner-Granville-Upham had celebrated a win. They lost 13 straight games. They were outscored last year by an average of 52-10 per game. But on Friday, they knocked off Divide County, and Divide County had won 14 of its last 15 regular season games. Cousins Ty Schmitt and Karson Haman were a dynamic duo and are your co-game ball winners for week 1. Schmitt passed for 331 yards and 7 touchdowns to go with 7 solo tackles and a pick on defense. And to put that in perspective, in 8 games last year, Schmitt had just over 700 passing yards and 7 touchdowns on the season. Meanwhile, Haman put up a stat line that would have fantasy owners drooling. 13 catches for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns. It all resulted in a 46-42 victory for TGU. Things don't get much easier for these Titans this week as they host Walker Broughton in that high-scoring West Hope Newburgh Glenburn squad. But congrats to Ty and Karson on an impressive season-opening win and earning this week's game ball. Remember, Varsity Sports Live debuts this Friday night. We'll have highlights from all over North and South Dakota beginning at 10:30 on Midco Sports. Thanks for watching, everyone.